MetaBurn from AstroFlav is a new product in a line of products that we're excited about from AstroFlav. AstroFlav has continuously brought new products that we are excited about, and honestly, early on, AstroFlav really impressed us with their flavors, so I was never not impressed by them, but I'm now impressed by the fact that they're bringing both great flavors and great products, things that sometimes seem to be mutually exclusive. The MetaBurn PM is going to be a sleep aid product that also plays on a bunch of fat loss pathways. Sleep is an important bunch of time for a bunch of different reasons for athletes, most obvious being the recovery factor. It's usually when we get over our fatigue from the day and the training, but also it's a very opportune time for fat loss. We naturally drop a little bit of insulin during the nighttime, so that's a good opportune time for us to burn some fat. It's been shown in a bunch of studies that restoration of quality sleep is a great intervention for obese people as well. So whether you're just a regular athlete that wants to sleep better, or you're looking for some points of fat loss as well, MetaBurn is a very convenient option because it's not a powder that you have to mix up. Look, I've got some great sleep aids I enjoy a lot that I have to mix up before I go to bed, but for two reasons. One, I get lazy before I'm going to bed. I'm usually tired and I don't want to be mixing stuff up. And two, a lot of sleep aid ingredients do not taste good. I'm just being honest about it. We've had some over the years that have just been downright nasty. And look, I'll drink anything if it helps me out, but it is going to be a lot more convenient to have it in a capsule dosage. So for those reasons, let's jump in and talk about the ingredients of MetaBurn PM. Now, right off the top, we've got ElBaba. This is going to be known as MitoBurn, a patented version of Baba from NNB. Now, if you're new to the channel or new to this ingredient, you may be asking, what is a Baba? Baba is going to be a cytokine. It is a signal from our bodies that usually is shown when we just finished intense exercise. Now, this is converted from valine, an essential amino acid you may recognize from BCAAs, commonly used intra-workout or throughout the day by a lot of bodybuilders or just athletes in general. BCAAs are super important from actual protein. They are what drive muscle protein synthesis, the recovery factor for us. And so anything that comes out of one of those is probably something that we should be looking at. Now, a few years back, we talked about this. We were talking about this before it was in this version from NNB. We were really excited about it because early on data showed that supplemental, basically exogenous forms of this signal from our body could mimic exercise quite well. Taking ElBaba as a supplement has been shown to drive the conversion of white adipose tissue to brown adipose tissue. This basically takes a long-term stored fat energy and makes it a little bit more metabolically active. We use it for non-shivering thermogenesis, which basically helps our body create heat. It's more metabolically active. We can use it more often. It's not stored for long term. And so for these two reasons, one being the mimicking of exercise, and two, the conversion of the white adipose tissue to brown fat, are huge reasons why Baba has been a huge ingredient over the last few years. Now, I'm not saying this is the first time it's been found in a fat burner, but I do love the fact that it's in a fat burner capsule because previously I've only found it in powders. Baba itself is not a bad tasting ingredient, but a lot of these other things that we'll mix it with usually are. We've had a lot of deep dives on Baba, so if you're interested in learning more about an ingredient that mimics exercise in a lot of different ways and leads to tons of different benefits, not just fat loss, I would definitely check those out. But this being the first ingredient in this product is very promising, and it really makes me feel like we're going to enjoy the rest of the product coming from AstroFlav. One thing I do want to note is that one of the really special parts of it being a patented ingredient from NNB was that it came from being D-Baba, which was not bioavailable at all, into ElBaba, which is the patented version. What they have patented is that bioavailable version, which made it usable for humans. Now, moving into Xyleria from New Live Sciences, this is again another patented ingredient from a company that we are admittedly affiliated with, but really big fans of. Xyleria has been a change in sleep ingredients. Xyleria is not like Baba, a fat or workout or whatever kind of ingredient. Xyleria is specific to sleep aids, which there aren't a ton of patented sleep aids, but I'm excited that people are getting into this because in my old age, I've gotten a lot more interested in sleep aids, honestly. Xyleria itself is standardized for a few different things. First off is sequiterpenes, which is a type of terpenoid alkaloid that contains 15 carbon atoms. This exists in a variety of different plants. They've been shown to protect cardiovascular system by producing nitric oxide, so this is important for athletes. But the reason they're in here is because they have a bit of a sedative effect. Xyleria itself is going to have 6 different kinds of sequiterpenes in here, so a wide range of different constituents. Usually we see this and call it kind of an entourage effect where they usually work together. So there's also in here fominoxin standardized as well. This is a significant anti-inflammatory and nootropic effect ingredient. And lastly, there's going to be GABA added in here. This is an inhibitory neurotransmitter neurotransmitter. This is going to bring you down, calm you down, and get you ready for sleep. Now, this ingredient has been studied as far back as 1991 in mice, but still a long time coming. One of the things that was special about this study in 1991 was not only did these mice sleep better and have all the benefits that we're looking for, they had a higher density of GABA receptors. So not only were they getting more GABA from the ingredient, they also had a higher density of those receptors to receive that GABA. Now in 2010, fast forwarding to human studies, a study published found that subjects who took Xyleria saw a 57.5 increase in the Pittsburgh Sleep Quality Index score. As you can imagine, it's hard to quantify sleep. This is one of the ways they do it, through this questionnaire. In 2022 though, a meta-analysis of 18 different placebo-controlled randomized trials with Xyleria using 1,850 participants found that this ingredient consistently outperformed placebo controls when it came to improving, again, the Pittsburgh Sleep Quality Index. And knowing that this is a 21-point quiz, the average increase was 2 points here, which is rather significant. Now, one last thing that they noted in a couple of these studies was that Xyleria also helped mitigate cognitive effects of sleep deprivation. So even if you weren't sleeping a ton, still helped mitigate the sleep deprivation effects. We've seen this also in things like tyrosine, but I'm happy to see it in a patented ingredient with some actual studies behind it. From there, we get into Sensoril, which is a normal ashwagandha extract, but we don't see it very often. We've got 240 milligrams of it here. Now, ashwagandha is what we call an adaptogen. It's going to help normalize various biological systems against stressors. So for instance, if you don't have enough cortisol, it's going to help bring that to a good level as by bringing it up. If you have too much cortisol, it's going to bring it down. Now, insomnia is closely related with high cortisol, and that's why this is really important to have with a sleep aid. But also it has an anti-obesity effect, which plays into kind of the fat burning concept that we've been talking about with ElBaba. One of the biggest reasons I see this in a sleep aid is because ashwagandha is closely related with calming and dealing with stress. If you work a long job, if you have stress in your life, ashwagandha is most often one of the best ingredients to throw in to help you deal with those things, anxiolytics and anti-stress ingredients. Now, what makes Sensoril different than other ashwagandhas is while most ashwagandhas are going to be just root or leaf extract, Sensoril is a blend of whole leaf and root extracts. Specifically, if you're a root only extract, you're going to be missing with withiferin A, which is one of ashwagandha's most powerful bioactives. So you're not missing that if you're using Sensoril. Up next, we have L-theanine, which is a popular ingredient in nootropics and pre-workouts because it synergizes with caffeine to either bring it down a little bit or to synergize with it and produce more focus, ironically. But theanine on its own is actually quite calming. If you've ever noticed that you drink a whole cup of tea and despite the caffeine content you feel calm, it's because of theanine. Similar to GABA, theanine works as a neurotransmitter in the brain. It's going to be calming, it's going to have anxiolytic functions, it's going to inhibit neuronal activity as opposed to exciting it, kind of like caffeine would. Theanine can help decrease time to sleep onset, it can help you fall asleep faster, and it's going to improve sleep quality. Now, the most interesting addition ingredient in here is actually going to be the RootCarpine. This next ingredient here at 100 milligrams. This is where I'm going to say most people should be looking at this as a differentiator versus other sleep aids. Put simply, RootCarpine decreases the half-life of caffeine in the body. Some people are slower caffeine metabolizers, some are higher caffeine metabolizers. For most people, we can all agree, if you drink caffeine anywhere near sleep, it's going to be a problem. Caffeine's half-life in the human body in general is going to be about 5 hours. That's a long time. If you're drinking caffeine around 5 o'clock, doesn't sound that bad until the half-life is only 5 hours and you're talking about 10 o'clock going to bed. For instance, if you consume 200 milligrams of caffeine 15 hours before going to sleep, this is pretty standard here, you can expect to have 25 milligrams of caffeine still in your bloodstream when you get into bed. Now, like I've said, this varies a lot individual to individual, but this is a helpful ingredient for most people who consume caffeine at any point during the day. Now, for whatever reason, there are some people who bring up liver toxicity with RootCarpine, so I want to make sure that I address it in this video. We're not aware of any rigorous studies that ever actually indicated this. Actually, to the contrary, the CYP1A2 upregulation from RootCarpine actually constitutes an improvement in liver function overall. In fact, one mouse study actually found that RootCarpine protected the mice's liver from acetaminophen-induced damage. So this concern is, if not relevant, actually the opposite of what you should be thinking about. For humans, the safety data goes up to about 11 milligrams per kilogram of body weight. A safety data study found that the median lethal dosage is about 11 milligrams per kilogram for humans. But this this is based off of mice data, so we don't technically have a human study to show this. But again, looking at the pathways that this functions on, there's no real reason to be concerned about liver health. Now, rounding out on the bottom quarter of this, we've got apigenin here. Now, apigenin is an aromatase inhibitor. It reduces estrogen levels. It's also a bit of a muscle booster. We have 50 milligrams of it here, which is a pretty good dosage for apigenin. Apigenin is proposed to be the reason why chamomile is such a good sleep aid. AstroFlav cut out the middleman, didn't use an apigenin standardized chamomile, and just went straight up for an apigenin pure ingredient. Now, they did throw in bioperin here. Bioperin is a popular ingredient enhancement in terms of absorption ingredient. Normally, I hear talk about how it doesn't have many benefits with a lot of ingredients out there. There's not a lot of studies on that, but actually one of the reasons that we want to talk about bioperin in this is because of its anti-obesity effects, because fat burning is a big topic of this product. Because piperine upregulates a protein called GLUT4, which pulls glucose into muscle cells, this actually keeps blood sugar more stable. Now, a lot of people will complain when you talk about blood sugar and fat loss. Most people will talk about just calories in, calories out, but it is important to kind of know blood glucose, if for nothing else, just overall health. And lastly, probably the most standard ingredient for a sleep aid to finish this out on is melatonin. They give you 2 milligrams of melatonin, which I consider to be a fine dosage. A lot of people are concerned about melatonin as it is a hormone. I'm not here to say that it is completely safe and you should use it every single day, but I do believe that it is overall safe for a human to use frequently. Most of us look at way too many bright lights during the day, especially too close to bed. Melatonin can help regulate our circadian rhythm a little bit better. So if you're not using it every day, or if you do use it every day, I would recommend cycling off of it at some point. I don't think it's the type of thing you should use 365 days a year, but we do know that it is safe for you to use in general. As always, guys, I want to say thanks so much to AstroFlav for sending this over. We do have to say we got this for free and we have a business affiliate relationship, but I do think this is a very innovative, different stab at fat burning and nighttime sleep aids. Thanks so much for watching and have a great day. All right, let's rip this real quick. Cut caffeine out quick before you go to bed. RootCarpine is going to be one of the more... RootCarpine and MetaBurn PM from AstroFlav is an ingredient we have not seen in a sleep aid in a little bit. Not only do they throw that in there, they also throw in ElBaba, Xyleria, Sensoril, and some other usual suspects like theanine and melatonin. AstroFlav's coming out with some really cool ingredients right now. AstroFlav's coming out with some really cool products right now, and I'm loving the different stabs at ingredient combinations and the point of view from which they look at these products. Whether you're just trying to sleep well or you're trying to get better fat burning while you're sleeping, MetaBurn is a capsule. MetaBurn is a capsule sleep product, so you don't have to mix things up before you go to bed. It's super convenient, and I've been loving it for a few weeks now. Check out our YouTube video for the full breakdown.